From homeless to millionaire, a black man's journey amid Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Alex's eyes were glued to the screen. Bold letters flashed. From homeless to millionaire, a black man's journey amid Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It was sensational. A headline made to explode curiosity and yank heartstrings at once. The video promised secrets, a miracle, a twist nobody expected. Like a slow-burn flame, the fever grew inside Alex's chest, tightening it, making him swallow hard. Richard Cross, the billionaire shaking Brookhaven to its core, appeared on the screen. His smile was sharp, almost too sharp, like someone hiding more than showing. Alex's camera had captured the man at a crowded seminar where about 1,000 people hung on every word. Richard's voice was electric, falling in waves that pushed the crowd into cheers. Yet, beneath the hype, Alex sensed something else lurking. A pause, a flicker in Richard's eyes no spotlight caught. Lighting, lamp. Success isn't just cash or power. The camera zoomed quickly on Richard's hand clutching a worn leather bracelet, a strange detail lost on most, but pulled Alex like a magnet. Outside, the city of Brookhaven roared and hummed, glass skyscrapers glittering like giant crystals, casting long shadows over cracked sidewalks, rotting cars, and dim streetlights flickering against the night. The city wore its own scars, a raw skin stretched painfully tight between wealthy towers and crumbling homes. Alex felt that scar every day, the weight of dreams heavy in his gut. He, a young filmmaker, lost more times than he counted. Each failure stuck in his throat like broken glass. A rush of wind tangled his hair as he clicked pause and leaned back, heart pounding hard. The story wasn't just Richard's rise. It was the city's fight, breathing through every frame. But why did some faces at Richard's seminar ring out hope, while others whispered behind closed doors? What was the truth hiding beneath the million-dollar smiles? A single mother, whose eyes shone with fierce pride but flickered when Alex asked about the missing pieces. What was Mia hiding? What secret lay tangled inside her smile? And then there was Emma, the rival entrepreneur, sharp-tongued and razor-smart, ready to tear Richard's empire apart. Emma's warnings echoed in Alex's mind like thunder. This isn't the miracle the city needs. It's a mask, a trap. The room went quiet as the screen dimmed. Shadows stretched longer. Alex's hands trembled, a mix of fear and fire. If he dug deeper, what would he find? Would he uncover hope, or a lie that would shatter everything? Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. A cryptic message blinked on the screen, white letters against black. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. Alex locked his jaw, heartbeat racing like a thunderstorm. The path ahead split like cracked asphalt. Reveal the whole story? Or protect the fragile spark Richard's secret had ignited? The city held its breath, and so did Alex. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Alex stared at his phone, breathing fast. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. The words echoed in his mind, weighing heavy on his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to lift the veil, to dig deeper into Richard's world. But what if he uncovered something that shattered lives? Just then, his phone buzzed again. It was Mia. "I need to see you, now!" The urgency in her text sent shivers down his spine. What did she know that he didn't? He grabbed his jacket, the fabric rough against his skin, and stepped into the night. A steel-gray sky draped over Brookhaven, as if it were holding its breath. The city throbbed beneath him. Rushing cars, the distant laughter of parties, and the hum of ambition. Yet it felt different tonight. Electric, the kind of energy that foreshadows a storm. Mia stood at the cafe, her silhouette stark against the bright lights flickering inside. The moment she spotted him, her expression hardened. Alex felt the lump in his throat grow bigger. "Mia, what's going on?" he asked, barely whispering. "No time for small talk," she said, glancing around. "Something's wrong. Richard isn't who you think he is." "What do you mean?" His pulse pounded in his ears. "I overheard conversations during the project launch. He's hiding something. Something big." Her voice trembled, and for a moment, Alex caught a glimpse of the fear etched on her face. Mia leaned closer, lowering her voice. "He's in deep with some shady people. They're not just investors. They're powerful and dangerous." "What do they want?" The words slipped out before he could stop himself. "Control," she said, her eyes wide with panic. "It's all about control. There's a connection between Richard's success and a lot of money coming from the black market." Just as she finished, a loud crash pealed through the night. A glass sign shattered. Someone had thrown a stone. Thick panic clung to the air, and people scattered. Alex turned to see shadows moving quickly, faces twisted in fear. One man stumbled away from the signal, gripping a bleeding hand. "Get down!" Mia shouted, pushing him away from the window. The chaos erupted around them, sirens wailing, voices rising. "What was that?" he yelled over the noise. "It's happening! They're here!" she screamed, breathless. All at once, Richard walked through the cafe door, his smile plastered on his face. The perfect mask, but his eyes didn't match. They flicked towards the door, calculating, like a predator sensing a shift in the air. "Everyone, stay calm," Richard said, his voice deep and commanding, trying to smooth the frayed edges of unrest. "It's just a prank. Nothing to worry about." But Alex felt a knot twist in his stomach. Something was off. The man in front of him didn't line up with the charismatic billionaire from the seminar. Mia gripped Alex's arm, whispering, "We need to go now." Before they could move, a figure emerged from the shadows behind Richard, a woman, her hair wild and eyes burning with fury. "You think this is a game, Richard?" she shouted, and the air crackled with tension. Richard's expression shifted, his charm crumbling at the edges. "Get her out of here," he barked, panic flashing in his eyes. The crowd erupted, a swirl of screams and confusion. Alex's heart raced as he locked eyes with Mia. They needed to escape, but not without answers. Just then, the woman pointed right at Alex. You're in the middle of a war, kid. You don't even know what you're dealing with. And with that, the world spun. Alex felt his breath hitch, a chilling certainty creeping in. Every choice he'd made, every voice he'd trusted, suddenly questioned. The truth was closer than he thought, and it could cut deeper than any lie. In that moment, reality hung in the balance, and all of Brookhaven seemed to pause. What had he stumbled into? What secrets were still buried, waiting to explode? Alex's heart raced. The cryptic message flashed again in his mind, drawing him deeper into uncertainty. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. What did it mean? He drew in a shaky breath, fingers hovering over his phone. So many paths lay ahead. Little did he know, one of those paths was about to slam shut, and an entirely new, terrifying road would open up, one he never saw coming. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to steady himself. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through his apartment, followed by frantic shouting. Alex shot upright, adrenaline cutting through the fog. His heart pounded as he peered out the window, searching the streets below. And then he saw it. Smoke curled above a crowd gathered near the seminar venue. Alex's gut twisted as panic gripped him. Was Richard's seminar under attack? A wave of bodies surged forward, people shouting, fear written across their faces. Alex's heart raced with the urgency to know what had happened. He stumbled to his front door and rushed out, the cold air hitting his face like a slap. As he pushed his way through the crowd, the pieces came together. An explosion had rocked the venue, flames licking the night sky. Screams pierced the air, sharp and raw. His stomach twisted in knots. "Richard!" he shouted, searching faces for the billionaire, who had seemed so invincible just hours ago. But the crowd moved like an angry sea, rippling in chaos. Then, from the corner of his eye, he caught sight of Mia, her face pale, eyes wide and darting. "Mia!" he called, breaking away from the crowd. She stumbled toward him, tears streaking her cheeks. "It's Richard. He's been taken." Her voice shook, the words cutting deeper than the sight of the blaze. The explosion wasn't an accident. Alex's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Someone wanted him gone. This was planned. He was targeted. A shudder ran through him. The smiley facade of Richard had always felt too polished, too perfect. What if Mia was right? Just then, from the crowd, a figure emerged. Emma, the sharp-tongued entrepreneur, her expression wild with disbelief. "I warned you. I told Alex. This is just the beginning. There are secrets." But just as she spoke, a loud bang rang out from behind them. A pane of glass shattered, and people screamed and ducked. The moment stretched painfully long, everyone frozen in horror. The smoke thickened around them, an oily haze that made Alex's throat constrict. "Get down!" he urged Mia, pulling her close. Amid the chaos, it felt like the ground shifted beneath them. What glimmers of hope had he found in Richard's teachings now sparked doubt. Was the narrative of success built on gratitude and discipline just a smokescreen covering something darker? "Alex!" Mia shouted, but he could barely hear her over the cacophony. He looked back to Emma, who was trying to weave through the crowd, her expression layered with fear and determination. What was she hiding? Why would she warn him? Then, through the whirl of panic, he felt a tight grip on his arm. Someone was pulling him away from the chaos, dragging him to the side. "Come on, we have to go!" Alex turned, eyes widening with shock as he recognized the man guiding him. It was Richard Cross, but his eyes were no longer sharp. They glinted with desperation, fear swirling within them. "Trust me," Richard gasped, urgency dripping from his voice. "We don't have much time. They're coming for everyone, especially you." The ground beneath Alex's feet felt like it teetered on the edge of a precipice. He had never thought the man he was investigating would end up saving him from danger. What were the truths lying under the rubble? What secrets did Richard hold, and at what cost? A sudden jolt coursed through him. The city was not just fighting to thrive, it was choking on layers of betrayal. As the two men sprinted away from the smoke and panic, Alex's mind spiraled. Everything he believed had been ripped apart. He hadn't just stumbled into a story. He had plunged into a deadly labyrinth. And now, the question loomed larger than any of them. How far would the truth shatter their lives? As Alex ran alongside Richard, panic surged through his veins. The chaos roared behind them, but something inside him screamed to turn back, to dig deeper. What were they running from? What did Richard know? The urgency didn't just pulse in the air. It echoed in Alex's chest. "Why are you really running?" Unexpected, glancing sideways at Richard. The billionaire's face, once polished with charm, now showed lines of fear. Richard's grip tightened on Alex's arm as they ducked into an alley, the shadows swallowing them whole. "I'll explain everything, but not here," Richard hissed, eyes darting. "We need to—" Suddenly, a loud explosion rumbled through the air, dust and debris raining down around them. The shockwave knocked Alex off balance, sending him clattering to the ground. He gasped, blinking through the haze. What was happening? The facade of safety shattered as screams echoed off the walls. "Get up!" Richard shouted, pulling him toward a side door. They slipped inside a dimly lit storage area, barring the door behind them. Alex could barely catch his breath, the weight of fear pressing down hard. "You need to tell me what's going on!" But before Richard could respond, a loud bang rattled the door. Heart racing, Alex turned. He saw a shadow creeping against the wall. "Who's there?" he called out, voice trembling. The door buckled under a heavy weight, and with a final crash, it flew open. A figure stumbled in, hands raised in surrender, wild eyes searching the room. "Mia?" Alex's shout tore through the suffocating tension. But it wasn't Mia. It was Emma. Her face was frantic, sweat and dirt streaking across her cheeks. "You have to listen to me!" she gasped, stepping closer, her desperation palpable. "Richard, he's not who he says he is," Alex's mind whirled. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, a voice growled from the darkened corner of the room. "Bring them out! I know you're in here, Richard." Richard froze, his earlier bravado crumbling into raw fear. This voice was deeply familiar, a chilling command that struck Alex like a cold slap. "No, it can't be!" Richard murmured, backing away, eyes wide. The figure stepped into the feeble light, and Alex's world dropped. It was a man from Richard's past, someone he had seen in old interviews. Mark Voss, a shadowy figure tied to dangerous dealings and underground operations. "Surprised to see me, Richard?" Voss sneered, a cold smile splitting his face. "Stay away from them," Richard shouted, but the fear in his voice cracked like glass. "You've been a nuisance for too long," Voss growled, eyes narrowing. "Those dreams you sold, they belong to someone else now. Confusion twisted in Alex's gut. Are you saying Richard is a fraud? A businessman built on lies? Loud laughter echoed off the walls. Not just lies, kid. He's standing on a foundation of treachery, Voss said, stepping forward. You really have no idea what you stumbled into. What? Richard sold his soul for power. Enough! Richard roared, but Alex could see the tremor in his hands. Suddenly, the truth struck Alex like a truck. You were using us? Using Mia? Using everyone to cover your tracks? Richard looked like he'd been punched. I made mistakes. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. I wanted to help. His desperation rang hollow. But Voss wasn't finished, and as he chuckled, the air crackled with tension. Tell him about Mia. Is she just another pawn in your twisted game? The room went still. Mia? Richard choked out. She didn't know, I swear. So you admit she's involved? The single mother who trusted you? Voss pressed, eyes glinting with satisfaction. Stop, Alex shouted. The implications hit him like icy water. Everyone was connected, tangled in a web of betrayal. What had started as a quest for truth had shifted into a nightmare. In that moment, something deep within changed. Trust felt like a fragile thing about to snap. Alex looked at Richard, really looked. He'd always thought Richard was the hero, the guiding light in the darkness. But now, specks of darkness gathered around him. What did you do? Alex whispered. But before Richard could respond, the ground trembled. Sirens blared outside. A warning. They were running out of time. Alex's heart pounded. The truth was bigger than he could handle. And its pull was irresistible. There was only one choice left. Confront Richard. Confront the dark secrets that seemed to stretch beyond the stars. All at once, the world around them felt alive with danger. Would they face the truth together? Or would it tear them apart? The next choice was clear, and Alex could feel the weight of the city holding its breath, waiting for the coming storm. Alex locked his phone, breath hitching in his throat. The message dangled there, heavy but unclear. What truths, he thought, and what could destroy more than it revealed? He stood up, pacing the room, the flickering light from his laptop creating shadows that moved like ghosts. Reality felt slippery, each thought bouncing around his mind like a pinball. Suddenly, a loud crash came from outside, shattering the night. His heart raced. He rushed to the window, heart thundering. Across the street, chaos erupted. A black SUV had crashed into a lamppost, glass fragments sparkling like shattered stars on the pavement. People gathered, their faces wide with shock. An exquinte y el figurante saliera de la rueca. Richard, burlándose en descreíble. Richard enfermo, manchado su camisa de sachela. Miedo picó en Alex inesperado. En segundos, Alex saliendo de la puerta. Fieres torturando el celero. Whispers rippled like waves at the shoreline. ¿Qué pasó? Richard's ojos se anclaban alrededor. Confuso, señalado. He yelled, but fear crowded his words. Then, without warning, he collapsed to the ground, clutching his side. Alex rushed forward, instincts kicking in. Someone call 911! Panic gripped the crowd as a woman knelt beside Richard. She pressed her hands against his wound, her face pale. Alex knelt too, close enough to see Richard's eyes flaring with pain, and something else. A flicker of desperation. The crowd gasped, but Alex's mind raced ahead. This wasn't just an accident. Not with Richard. No way. Richard, what's happening? Alex pressed, trying to understand. This was no accident, was it? Richard's breath came in ragged gasps. You're not safe, Alex. It's all a game, a trap. His voice dropped to a whisper, barely audible. Mia, Emma, they're all part of... Before he could finish, a loud bang erupted. The noise crashed through the air, scattering people like leaves in a storm. Alex's heart raced. Fear gripped the crowd, ripping away their composure. Someone was shooting. Adrenaline kicked in. Alex ducked, pulling Richard closer to shield him. The woman next to him screamed, abandoning her makeshift bandage. He turned, eyes wide, searching for Emma or Mia in the fray. Where were they? What was happening? Then it hit him. The message from his phone. The words echoed in his mind. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. This was connected. A familiar face broke through the chaos. Mia, running toward them, eyes frantic. Alex, she screamed. But he couldn't get to her. He was frozen, caught in a loop of realization. Richard coughed, spitting blood. It's deeper than you think. They'll come for you next. Ha 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 ha. The shadows seemed to close in, whispers of danger weaving through the night. Just then, a slick black van screeched to a halt, doors flying open. Men dressed in dark suits jumped out, guns drawn. The crowd erupted into chaos, people shoving each other to escape. Alex's mind screamed at him to run, hide, do something. But he couldn't move. His gaze locked on Richard, who was fading fast. Alex, Richard muttered, clutching Alex's arm. You need to hold on to the truth. In that moment, the ground felt like it was shaking. Alex realized everything he thought he knew. About Richard, about Mia, about Emma, was unraveling. Hope twisted into a snare, threatening to ensnare him too. The men approached, eyes cold and calculating. Richard's grip tightened. Don't let them in. It's all. And with that, Richard's eyes went blank. The world around Alex spun into chaos as he watched everything shatter. The narrative, the faces, the hope. Then darkness washed over him. The city held its breath, and so did Alex. He stared at the phone screen, shaky fingers gripping the edges. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. The words twisted in his mind like a dark vine wrapping tighter around his thoughts. One truth clicked back to his mind. The reminder of Mia, her smile dimmed by something unsaid. The silence in the room was heavy. The murmur of the city became a distant roar, a backdrop to an unsettling stillness. Suddenly, a chill ran up Alex's spine, an electric jolt demanding his attention. The screen lit up again, the unknown sender returning with an urgent message. Meet me, tonight, 8 p.m., behind the old diner. His heart raced. The old diner, where shadows danced in the flickering light, and secrets simmered over grease-stained tables. But why there? Suddenly, the phone buzzed again. It was a video call from Mia. She looked flustered, hands twitching as she paced. Alex, you need to stop investigating Richard. It's not what you think. Mia's words broke mid-sentence. A crash echoed behind her, a sound that sliced through the tension like glass shattering. She looked terrified. "They're coming! You have to—" The call dropped. Silence rushed in, thick and choking. Cramming his phone deep into his pocket, Alex moved instinctively. The urgency clawed at him, pushing him to act. He grabbed his jacket, slipping out the door into the pulsating night. Brookhaven was alive. Shadows creeping in doorways, whispers lingering in the air. The concrete felt hot beneath his feet, urgency wrapping around him. Each tick of the clock echoed louder as he approached the diner. A twisted metal tomb of forgotten dreams and lost souls. Something flickered in the corner of his eye, a shadow darting by. Alex paused, breath hitching in his throat. Could it be someone tailing him? His pulse thudded like a drum in a silent hall, echoing the dread creeping up his spine. At the back of the diner, under the flickering neon sign, he spotted Mia. But she wasn't alone. A figure loomed beside her. It was Richard Cross. The man was smoother than oil, dressed sharply, hands clasped together. The sharpness in his smile twisted something in Alex's gut. "Mia," Richard said, voice cool as ice. "You shouldn't have called him." "Richard, Mia's voice wavered like a fragile flame. "Mia!" He cut her off, stepping forward, shadow swallowing her smaller frame. "You should let the past die. Some truths are better buried." A knot twisted in Alex's stomach. Richard's words struck hard, hitting closer to home than he expected. What had Mia dragged herself into? Why had she met with Richard? Then it happened. Just as a flicker of hope sparked, loud footsteps thundered from the front. A group of men, some faces familiar, strode in like wolves seeking their prey. "Mia!" One of them shouted, face flushed with anger. Fear washed over Mia as she stumbled backward, eyes darting between Alex and Richard, desperate for answers. "You're coming with us," the man growled, grabbing Mia by the arm. "No, please don't," Mia cried, twisting to break free. "Get your hands off her!" Alex shouted instinctively, stepping forward. Richard remained still, a dark shadow in the light of the chaos unfolding around him, a smirk creeping back onto his face. In that moment, everything shattered. The truth that Alex thought he was chasing began to slip away, fractured by the faces rushing in, by the realization that enemies and allies blurred together like an unreadable painting. The room felt heavy, tension thick as smoke. "What's happening?" Alex shouted, mind racing. But no one answered. The whispers of the city echoed louder, drowning out the cries, and Alex felt the ground shift beneath him. Now the choices lay heavy on him, the path forked in ways he couldn't have predicted. One truth could destroy everything, and the shadows watched, waiting for the storm to break. Alex held his breath as the message blinked insistently on his phone. Choose wisely. Some truths destroy more than they reveal. The words burned into his mind. He scrolled through his notifications, but the faceless sender vanished. Uneasiness settled in his stomach, twisting like a knotted rope. He leaned back again, the looming shadows of the room growing heavier. The footage of Richard Cross flickered across the screen, the billionaire's charismatic veneer cracking under the weight of Alex's scrutiny. Was he a hero, or just a puppet master pulling strings? Determination surged through him, startling him out of his thoughts. Alex grabbed his jacket, suddenly restless. He had to know more. He had to see Mia. Her voice played in his head, a blend of strength and sorrow. Finding her was like searching for a lighthouse in a storm. Brookhaven felt alive and chaotic as he stepped outside. Cars zoomed by, and the night air crackled with energy. But waiting for a bus felt like an eternity. An uneasy feeling shadowed him, whispering of the path he was about to take. The bus screeched to a halt, and he climbed on board, his heart racing like the wheels on the pavement. When he arrived at Mia's apartment block, tension tightened in his chest. The building was old, bricks chipped, a far cry from the glistening towers of wealth dominating the skyline. He moved through the dim hallways, feeling the weight of the encounters that lay ahead. Mia answered the door, her smile warm, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of apprehension. "Alex, I'm so glad you came," she said, ushering him inside. The cluttered room was filled with photos, drawings, from her kids, he guessed. They were a pulse of life in the stark reality surrounding them. "Mia, I need to ask you something important. What's really going on with Richard?" The question hung in the air, charged with unresolved tension. Her face fell, eyes darting to the floor. "It's complicated. It's not what you think." Before she could elaborate, there was a loud knock at the door. Startled, both turned toward the sound. "Mia, open up!" a voice shouted, hard and familiar. Alex's heart sank. It was Emma. What was she doing here? What was her connection to Mia? "Mia, please, we can't let them find out!" Emma's voice cracked, edging between desperation and anger. Mia bolted upright. "You don't understand. It's not just about Richard. We have to keep it hidden." The tension crackled in the small space. "What are you hiding?" Alex demanded, caught between shock and curiosity. The door rattled. Emma was outside, and Alex could hear the panic in her voice. "Mia, you're running out of time! Open the door!" A flash of fear crossed Mia's face, and she moved closer to Alex, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't let you get involved. You have to go. Richard, he's not who he says he is. I thought he could help, but he—" The door burst open. Emma stood there, wild-eyed. "Mia, they're coming! We need to go now!" Before Alex could react, Mia grabbed his arm, pulling him closer. "Remember what I told you. Trust your instincts. The truth is darker than you think." Suddenly, sirens blared outside, drowning out Mia's words. Shadows loomed, and Alex felt the ground shift beneath him. The frantic chaos closed in, thoughts racing, too many questions choking him. As they sprinted through the apartment, Alex felt the world tilt. What had he stumbled into? Truth and lies tangled like a web, binding them all. The city held its breath, and so did he. Mia grabbed Alex's arm tighter, fear shimmering in her eyes. "We have to go now!" But remnants of the past held them back. Richard stood still, a dark shadow behind them, the world surging with tension. As Emma rushed into the room, something inside Alex snapped. "What's really going on?" he shouted, needing to cut through the chaos unraveling before him. "Everything's connected!" Emma cried, voice raised above the commotion. "Richard isn't just using you, he's one of them!" Mia flinched, eyes darting between the two of them. "What do you mean, one of them?" Her voice trembled as panic bled through her usually steady demeanor. Silence fell for a heartbeat. Alex's hands trembled. What lay beneath the surface? Were they standing on a mine of secrets, one wrong step away from disaster? Suddenly, the air crackled with a piercing scream. A blast of light flooded through the door, blinding color exploding into the dimly lit room. Glass shattered as shards flew everywhere, and the force of the blow knocked everyone back. Heart pounding, Alex hit the ground, instinct taking over as he shielded Mia. A figure stepped through the wreckage, a man cloaked in darkness, face obscured, one hand raised as if to silence the chaos. "Enough!" he boomed, voice deep and rumbling like thunder. Fear clutched at Alex's throat. The figure moved forward purposefully, and the world seemed to hold its breath. "You've meddled too far, Richard," he said, glancing sideways at Mia and Alex. His eyes burned with intensity. "You've unleashed forces you can't control." "Who are you?" Richard spat, regaining composure. But the truth earwigged under the bravado. A tremor lingered in his voice. "I'm the shadow buried deep in your success," the man replied coldly, advancing another step. "I brought you up, Richard, and now I'm here to take you down." Confusion crashed over Alex, like heavy waves against the shore. What did this mean? Richard was drowning in fear, but Alex could see something deeper. Desperation caked over secrets. "What's happening?" Mia breathed, stepping back and pulling Alex with her, as if hoping to further away from the wreckage suddenly surrounding them. "Please, someone explain." "I created you, Richard," the man sneered, "and you unwittingly invited trouble. The plan all along was never to lift anyone up." Words sliced through him, and Alex's heart raced. This wasn't just a personal attack. This was a battle for power, for truth, a game of lives. Richard stumbled, eyes widening as the reality crashed down. You used me," he rasped, voice shaky, each word heavy with realization. Mia choked back a sound, her face pale. "What do you mean?" she demanded, shaking. "I thought I could make a change," Richard whispered, shattered resolve radiating from him. "You were supposed to be safe, all of you, but I wasn't the one in control." The man lunged at Richard, but Emma moved, pushing Alex and Mia aside, her face fierce. "You don't get to take him!" In an instant, chaos erupted again, a flurry. "This ends now." "Wait!" Alex shouted, but it was too late. A blinding flash engulfed the room, hotter than flames. Time slowed, sounds melted together, a deafening crackle, and then silence. When Alex opened his eyes, everything changed. Richard stood frozen in front of him, but not as the man he knew. Fear twisted the billionaire's face into something others had never seen before. "What are you?" Richard croaked, clutching his own heart as if something had been stripped from him. The truth shattered the atmosphere, spiraling onward. Mia gasped, stepping back as if pulled by an invisible force. This isn't real. It was all so wrong. The shadowy man melted into the background. A sudden chill crept into the air, stirring the room. Everything felt fragile, like the pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit. Alex stood frozen, realizing everything was unraveling. Friendships, loyalties, and the thin veneer of truth that had held them together. The question remained, looming larger than the chaos around them. What was the true cost of their pursuit for answers? With the pieces in disarray, the path ahead seemed darker than Alex could ever have envisioned. The storm escalated, sweeping them deeper into a darkness he feared they might never escape. The air was thick, brimming with uncertainty. Richard's face twisted in pain, shadows dappling his features like broken glass as he hovered between reality and desperation. Alex felt the weight of the world pushing down on him, a lump rising in his throat. He caught a glimpse of Mia, her expression mirroring his fear as they all. "Who are you?" Richard croaked again, this time with a pleading edge as the shadowy man advanced. The walls seemed to close in, the tension rippling like a taut string ready to snap. "I've told you, I'm the darkness in your light," he replied, voice deep and rumbling, echoing within the chaos. Just then, the world lurched. A loud bang shook the ground, sending vibrations through the air. And in an instant, everything changed. The shadows swallowed the room, and the lights flickered like a dying flame. Mia gasped, clutching Alex's forearm, nails digging in like small talons. "What was that?" Panic laced her voice, trembling beneath the weight of impending doom. "Stay down!" Richard shouted, pushing everyone behind him as if he could shield them from the unfolding chaos. He squared his shoulders, but the facade was crumbling, fear lurking just beneath the surface, ready to explode. Before they could react, the shadowy man lunged forward, eyes wide with a wild intensity. But in the split second before contact, the chaos reached a fever pitch. A deafening roar erupted outside, shaking the very foundation of the diner. And then, a blinding light pierced through the darkness, curling around them like flames, surging upward. Alex shielded his eyes, but it was impossible to block out destruction, whirling chaos, the acrid tang of smoke filling the air. "Get down!" Emma screamed, flinging herself towards Alex, dragging Mia along. Just as the world became a kaleidoscope of sound and color, the unthinkable happened. The wall behind Richard shattered, splintering like weak wood, revealing a strange machine, a glowing core pulsating like a heartbeat. "What the hell is that?" Alex shouted, dread clawing at him. But Richard, eyes glued to the chaos, whispered, "I didn't want you to find out like this." His voice shook as the pulse crescendoed. The darkness flickered, revealing the face of the true puppet master. A split second of clarity dawned. Richard was not a savior, but a pawn in a twisted game, manipulated by something far beyond them all. The realization sunk deep. "I lied. I was sent here to lead you down a path," Richard cried, suffering etched into his features. "All of this. I never wanted this, never wanted to hurt anyone." Tears brimmed in his eyes, genuine and raw, peeling away the layers of deceit. And then the explosion hit. The air whirled, flames engulfing the diner, with a heat so fierce it scorched the hair on Alex's arms. People screamed, the noise surrounding them like a living entity. Suddenly, a massive figure emerged from the smoke. It was Mia's estranged father, a man Alex had never met, monstrous and terrifying, eyes aflame with rage. "You thought you could hide her from me, Richard?" he bellowed, pointing a finger, the very embodiment of fury. "Mia! Get back!" Alex shouted, pulling her toward him. But reality cracked once more, the facade shattering beyond repair. "All of you!" the man roared. are just chess pieces in a game you don't even comprehend. With that, recognition flashed in Mia's eyes, horror curling her features. Dad, a secret agent for the very people Richard was working against? The revelation turned the air thick. You have no idea what you've stumbled into, he screamed, voice drenched in secrets. Alex's breaths came fast and shallow. He felt the world spin, the ground shifting beneath him. Trust twisted into betrayal. Richard, Mia, even Emma, they were all caught in a web of lies far darker than he'd imagined. As the flames reached out and the chaos swirled around them, a new truth surfaced, one he never expected. Who could he trust now? Everything crumbled, leaving only questions echoing into the void. What was real? What would come next? As darkness encroached, all Alex could do was hold tight and wait for what was to come. The room felt alive as chaos swirled around them. Richard stumbled, his bravado cracking, revealing the shattered man beneath the surface. This was never supposed to happen, he gasped, fear spilling from his eyes like a broken dam. Mia's father loomed over them, shadowy and formidable. You played with powers you didn't understand, Richard, and now you've endangered everyone. The air felt charged, thick with tension. The uncertainty hung like smoke, choking them. Emma stood firm, fierce but trembling. We won't let you take anyone, she challenged, her voice steadier than her hands. Then, without warning, the shadowy man lunged. Emma leaped forward, tackling him to the ground. The impact sent a shockwave through the room. Get out! Go! She shouted, struggling to subdue him. Run! Alex yelled, pulling Mia by the arm. Their feet collided with the crumbling ground as they pushed past the chaos, adrenaline surging. The room twisted under the weight of conflict. The walls felt like they were closing in. Just ahead, Richard was trapped, wrestling with Mia's father. The fear on Richard's face twisted Alex's gut. Help him! Mia cried, tearing at Alex's resolve. No! We need to get out now! Alex shouted back, torn between the instinct to save Richard and the need to protect Mia. They stumbled back, the chaos surging around them. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. A flash of anger erupted in the shadows, shouts filling their ears. You don't understand, Richard cried, his voice strained. It's bigger than any of us! They won't stop until they've taken everything! Mia lunged forward. You don't have to do this, Dad! There's still a chance! The desperation was palpable, hanging in the air between them. He's right, Richard said, beginning to rise, grim determination replacing fear. We can't let them win! We need a plan! Together! Alex glanced at Mia, her eyes pleading for a moment of clarity amid the chaos. The fiery determination in her spirit ignited hope within him. Then let's do this, he said. We stand together, no matter the cost. As if the world responded to their renewed resolve, shadows seemed to retreat. Richard nodded, a flicker of confidence returning to his gaze. Let's fight back. In unison, they surge forward, hearts pounding, as they face the chaos anew. A sudden crash split the air. The back wall burst open, revealing the dark figure of the shadowy man. He raised a weapon, and the moment hung heavy in the air. Enough! A familiar voice boomed. Mia's mother stood at the entrance, face set with fierce determination. We will not lose our family to this darkness. The man's confidence faltered with the arrival of a new threat. Taking advantage of the moment, Emma tackled him again, buying them precious seconds. "Go!" Mia shouted, pushing Alex toward the exit. "We've got this!" Heart pounding, Alex hurried through the jagged opening. He paused, glancing back. Mia stood alongside her parents. A flicker of unity shining between them. Their bond anchored him, grounding the fear swirling inside his chest. As they burst outdoors, the smoky air felt fresh against his skin, invigorating. They sprinted into the night, the chaos fading behind them. But Alex knew the fight wasn't over. Their journey had only just begun. As they regrouped near the streetlight, sweat glistened on their foreheads, fear still lingering in their eyes. "We need to tell others about what's happening," Alex said, breathless. Mia nodded. "And we'll find a way to make this right. Together! Together!" The word felt heavy with promise, wrapping around them like a shield. The truth wasn't just something to uncover. It was a lifeline, a flicker of light in the darkest of times. "Are you ready for this?" Alex asked, determination hardening his voice. Mia took a deep breath, glancing back toward the shadows. "I've never been more ready!" But as they turned to face the looming presence of Brookhaven, a new question lingered in the back of their minds. What other truths lay buried in the city? The city held its breath, daring them to uncover the answers. And so did Alex. Before they stepped into the future, the call pulsed within him, urgent and relentless. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think is next for Alex, Mia, and Richard? And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel.